Okay, so I have a few things to say about the new Loki show, and I think that my opinions are going to be very unpopular with some people, but you know what? That is what makes the world interesting. The fact that we all have different opinions, so please just try to be respectful even if you disagree with me. So, look, I really wanted to like the Loki show. If you know me, you know I am a huge Loki fan. He's my favourite Marvel character. So I went into this, I started to review the episodes on a week by week basis, and then I thought, you know what, I would rather just wait until it is all come out and I can sort of, watch it as a whole. And I even went back and I rewatched a few episodes because, sometimes when you're not sure about something, if you watch it for a second time, you can sort of appreciate things that you didn't appreciate on the first viewing. So I did that. I gave it a few days to marinate instead of just making this video straight away, so I could really get my thoughts in order for you guys. But I've just got to be honest, I do not like this show. I was not a fan of it. I felt like the same thing when I was watching The Falcon and the Winter Soldier with Bucky Barnes. The same thing with Loki. They felt like weak, watered down, Walmart rip-off, knockoff copies of the men they were meant to be, the men that we saw them as in the original Marvel movies. And obviously this is a video about Loki, so I won't go talking any more about Bucky, but they both just felt like knockoffs. They both felt, Loki felt like a goofy, lovesick sidekick who was only there to support Sylvie. He had a few quippy, sarcastic one-liners, but overall, he just felt like a sidekick. And especially if you've seen the 4 movies lately, like I have, you watch them and then you watch this, and he seems like a completely different person. And yes, I get it. People grow, people change. That's part of being human. But he just changed too much too soon. It was like he had a, alien invasion pod person replacement, like that movie, that alien movie from the 90s. It was not Loki anymore, in my opinion. So basically, I kept waiting for him to pull a Loki. You know what I mean? That moment where he outsmarts and out-tricks everybody, where he reveals that he has been playing them the whole time. And I kept waiting, and then it was the last episode, and then the show was over, and I realised that yes, this was actually Loki all along. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm going to come out and say it. The whole Sylvie Loki thing was creepy. That was another version of himself. You can try to spin it as, they've had different life experiences. They're not the same person, but they're both Loki. It's like incest or self-cest, or I don't even want to know what sort of cest it is. I don't even want to think about it. Like, I'm all for Loki having a love connection with somebody and finally lowering his walls and, becoming a different person, because obviously love has the power to really change people. And I would love to see Loki form that connection with somebody, but with Sylvie, it just felt weird. I couldn't buy into it as a romance or root for it because I just kept getting so creeped out by it. And anyway, I just didn't even feel like Sylvie was really an interesting character. She wasn't funny. She just felt like she was a Mary Sue. She was another one of the Rays. And look, I'm not one of those people that is going to come after women just because they are strong. That is definitely not who I am. I'm not going to scream woke just because there is a strong woman. I grew up on Buffy and Xena and all of those types of strong women. I don't care about politics anymore. I'm just so past it all. I just want to be told a good story, and this was not a good story. And, that villain guy, seriously, he was pretty much the worst villain ever. even worse than him. He was not intimidating at all. Like, I know there's other versions of him that are apparently a lot scarier, like the Conqueror version of him that eventually ends up conquering the TVA at the end, but still, I just thought he was not menacing at all. And you have to remember, Loki is a god. Like, he's meant to be scared of a human. Like, the guy was just a regular human, right? And, I know that they're setting it up for a season 2, I think, so who knows what we're going to get from Loki in season 2, but all I can talk about is what we've seen from him so far. And I know this is something that is really ridiculous to be this upset about, but can we just talk for a minute about Loki's outfit? Those horrible brown pants and that office outfit they had him wearing the whole show. Yes, they may be only clothes, but come on, they symbolize a lot for Loki. And it just felt like, another instance of where they were taking away from him and trying to change him. And physically and mentally, he seemed weak. He was falling for things that the real Loki, because this is not the real Loki in my opinion, the real Loki would never have fallen for a lot of the schemes that he fell for. It felt like he was constantly getting outsmarted and outmaneuvered by things that he shouldn't be. Like, this guy is I don't know how old he is exactly, but he's probably thousands of years old. And he was shown getting beat up by 3 humans, and they were kicking his ass. And come on, this is Loki. He has got powers, and even if entering the TVA, I think sort of dulled his powers and made it that he couldn't access the whole range of what he was capable of. He's still a god. He is still superhuman, and they showed him getting his ass kicked by humans and by Sylvie constantly. And yeah, it just didn't really feel like something that I could get on board with in any way. It just didn't feel like Loki. And you have to remember as well that he has only been in the TVA for a week. Well, I don't know exactly how long, but I think it's only been a week or a couple of weeks since he was in Germany telling people to kneel before him and trying to take over the world. And you know what? I know there's a lot of people that say that Loki wasn't actually trying to take over New York or whatever. He was getting influenced and brainwashed into doing it. But you know what? He still did try to take over the world in the first Thor movie. I'm not saying that Loki isn't a character with layers. He is. That's why we like him so much. He has a lot of layers, and I don't think he is a straight up villain, but I don't think he is a straight up hero either. I think he is very much a shade of grey, but still, at the end of the day, my point is he can't go from trying to take over the world or whatever his mental state was in Germany to a week later being this, I just feel like I hear the word neutered, like a neutered dog whenever I see him in this show. Like, he's just so weak compared to what he was before. I just don't buy it. And yeah, I don't buy the thing with Sylvie. I really want him to have a romance with somebody, because I feel like that would be a really, really interesting character arc for him, because I think that would help him to grow as a person, to, let his walls down and let somebody in and become emotionally vulnerable. That would be really interesting to see. I would love to see it with Darcy. I think that would be really interesting, just to add my own little fan fiction, desires there. I would love to see that, but I just don't buy the whole Sylvie thing. And you know what, at the end of the day, you can see, I think in the last episode they were saying that they can't trust each other, and that was very telling, because it's basically Loki saying he doesn't trust himself, which is really sad actually when you think about it. he needs somebody that isn't himself. And yeah, I wish they had more Owen Wilson because he was a fun character. Hopefully we'll see more of him in season 2 if they have a season 2. But yeah, I just don't buy that Loki, the Loki that we know, having been offered in the last episode a throne and unlimited power, which is all that he has ever wanted, would say no for Sylvie. Because yes, love changes people, and like I said, I would really like to see Loki, start to soften up and put somebody else's feelings above his own. But at the end of the day, I just think that the Loki that we know, he wouldn't turn down a throne and unlimited power. And they even gave him the option of being able to be with Sylvie in another timeline, and he said no. It just felt so forced. Just didn't feel like the Loki that I know at all. Anyway, so let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I would really like to know your opinions. If you enjoyed it, great. Hey, I'm not going to take that away from you. I'd love it if you guys enjoyed this show. I personally just didn't. So let me know what you thought, and like I said, if you could subscribe and do all of that YouTube stuff, that would be great. Thanks, guys.